A man forced his way through the security barrier, rushed towards Ariana Grande, and wrapped his arms around her in the middle of the wicked, for good red carpet, sending the entire premiere into chaos and forcing the event to end earlier than planned. The moment was so sudden and so visually jarring that the festive atmosphere at Universal Studios Singapore shattered within seconds. What had been designed as a vibrant celebration of art, music, and global anticipation instead collapsed into a frightening reminder of how fragile safety can be, even at the most meticulously crafted events. On the evening of 13th November, the Universal Studios venue had been transformed into a lavish, yellow brick road, the only Asian stop for the international premiere of the film. Fans lined the pathway, smartphones raised high, eager to catch a glimpse of today's most talked-about stars. Ariana Grande, Cynthia Erivo, Michelle Yeoh, and director John M. Chu arrived as the centerpiece of a global promotional campaign designed to captivate audiences worldwide. Every camera flash, every cheer, and every deep breath taken by the cast was meant to contribute to a triumphant milestone for the second installment of the legendary Broadway adaptation. The energy in the air was electric, yet calm enough to feel controlled, until the moment when Ariana Grande stepped forward to greet fans with a wave. What happened next broke that illusion entirely. A man with long black hair and green streaks breached the barricade, moved rapidly towards the singer, and pulled her close in an aggressive, invasive manner. Ariana Grande's face, captured vividly in countless circulating videos, revealed a wave of panic that overtook her in the blink of an eye. In that instant, the celebration transformed into an emergency. Cynthia Erivo reacted immediately. Without hesitation, she stepped between Ariana Grande and the intruder, her body forming a barrier as she appeared to shout at him. Her expression was sharp, focused, and fueled by instinctive protectiveness. Within moments, security guards rushed in to restrain the man, pulling him away as the crowd erupted into confusion. Michelle Yeoh approached Ariana Grande, joining Cynthia Erivo in comforting the shaken singer, offering a steady presence whilst the shock settled around them. But behind the glamour and the excuses, what mechanisms are really driving this crisis? We shall analyze every detail, from the initial mistakes to the irreversible damage, to see how the entertainment world works and how an icon is redefined. The emotional temperature of the event had changed irreversibly. Conversations that began with excitement shifted to apprehension, and fans who had waited hours to witness cinematic magic were instead witnessing an alarming breach of safety. The cast attempted to regain composure, but the tension lingered in the air, a silent acknowledgement that the night had taken a direction no one expected. Soon after, the decision was made to conclude the event earlier than scheduled, placing safety above spectacle. What was meant to be a dazzling, globally televised celebration now carried a deeper question beneath its fractured surface. And that question would grow louder in the hours that followed. The intense swirl of anticipation that surrounded the wicked. For good premiere at Universal Studios, Singapore had been building for weeks. As the only Asian stop for the global promotional campaign, the venue represented not only a symbolic milestone for the cast and producers, but also a strategic statement from the studio. They had chosen a location known for its immersive attractions, polished event operations, and ability to handle large crowds with remarkable efficiency. As fans gathered behind barricades, the excitement felt almost ceremonial, as though the moment marked a grand intersection between Hollywood spectacle and Southeast Asian enthusiasm. Yet the truth beneath this polished exterior was more complicated. A red carpet designed to feel open, welcoming, and visually spectacular unintentionally created vulnerabilities that would later prove critical. The yellow brick road theme stretched across an expansive outdoor area, providing broad visibility and freedom of movement for media crews, staff, and fans. Although security was present, the layout offered little room for rapid escalation or containment. Wide pathways, multiple access points, and the sheer volume of attendees meant that even a single unexpected movement could disrupt the equilibrium. Ariana Grande, positioned at the center of global attention, carried her own emotional history into the event. She had experienced trauma that few public figures have endured so intensely or so publicly. The 2017 Manchester Arena bombing, which occurred during her concert and claimed 22 lives, remained a defining wound in her life. According to her interview with British Vogue in 2018, she described the emotional aftermath as a reality that she struggled to discuss without tears, one that left her with lingering post-traumatic stress symptoms and an ongoing battle with anxiety. For Ariana Grande, large public gatherings were not simply moments of celebration. They were environments layered with caution, memory, and psychological weight. The premiere began smoothly, a testament to the meticulous planning that had gone into the event. Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo, the dual leading forces behind Wicked, for Good, made their entrance to an eruption of cheers. The contrast between the complexity of Ariana Grande's inner world and the glittering fanfare surrounding her added a quiet tension that only deepened as cameras flashed and the energy rose. Standing beneath the bright lights and bold set pieces, she greeted fans with a deliberate grace that belied the emotional labor involved. But the environment's openness proved to be its undoing. As Ariana Grande approached a section of the red carpet to wave at a group of fans, a man positioned behind the barrier began to move with purpose. He had long black hair with green streaks and a demeanor that blended into the crowd until the moment he lunged forward. In a matter of seconds, he crossed the boundary that separated him from the actress, slipped past staff attempting to maintain order, and reached her before anyone could react. His arm wrapped around her shoulders, pulling her closer with a force that was both aggressive and deeply inappropriate. The shock that spread across Ariana Grande's face was not merely fear, it was the sudden collision of past trauma with present danger. Her attempt to pull away was instinctual, a desperate effort to reclaim control within a moment that stripped it from her. The noise of fans screaming, camera shutters clicking, and security shouting created an auditory blur that amplified the chaos. Cynthia Erivo moved into action with extraordinary speed. Her body language shifted from composure to determination in an instant. Without hesitation, she stepped directly between Ariana Grande and the intruder, placing herself as a physical barrier. Witnesses observed her shouting, her expression firm and unwavering, sending a clear message that the intrusion would not escalate further. Her decision to intervene before security reached the scene demonstrated both instinctive protectiveness and a fearless sense of responsibility towards her co-star. Security responded within moments, pulling the man away and guiding him out of the area. Nevertheless, the emotional damage of those few seconds lingered heavily in the air. Michelle Yeoh approached Ariana Grande immediately, her presence calm and grounding. Cynthia Erivo remained close, offering reassurance and stability as Ariana Grande took steadying breaths, her eyes reflecting a mix of shock and vulnerability. The root of the incident lay not in a single misstep, but in a combination of factors: a spacious venue that could not fully contain sudden movements, a fan known for previous acts of disruptive behavior, and the immense emotional burden Ariana Grande carried from past trauma. Together, these forces created a moment where celebration collided with catastrophe. Though the event had been meticulously organized, the illusion of safety had been broken in a way that no amount of planning could erase. The lingering question was not only how the individual had breached the barrier, but why the environment allowed the intrusion to occur with such ease. It was a convergence of architectural openness, high emotional stakes, and the unpredictable behavior of a determined individual. And as the cast regained their composure, the sense that something much deeper had unfolded became impossible to ignore. The moments following the breach at the Wicked, for Good, premiere unfolded at a pace that felt almost surreal. As security escorted the man away and the cast attempted to regain their composure, dozens of phones remained pointed at the scene, recording every tremor, every glance, every breath taken in the aftermath. Within minutes, those recordings left the red carpet and entered the global arena of social media, where nothing remains contained and nothing remains private. The incident that had shaken Ariana Grande so deeply was now being replayed across multiple timelines, each sharing it with a velocity that transformed a brief disruption into an international talking point. The first wave of reactions arrived in the form of shock and disbelief. Many viewers expressed horror that a fan had been able to cross a security barrier so easily and reach one of the most recognizable celebrities in the world. The visuals were disturbing. Ariana Grande's startled expression, Cynthia Erivo's immediate protective stance, and the frantic movement of security guards who appeared one moment too late. The contrast between the elegance of the event and the violent intrusion created a jarring emotional collision that audiences struggled to process. As more angles of the moment surfaced online, the intensity of the public response grew. Some praised Ariana Grande for maintaining composure in a situation that could have been far more dangerous. Others questioned how such a breach could occur at a premiere backed by a major studio with considerable resources. Social media users began to break down every frame, analyzing Ariana Grande's body language, Cynthia Erivo's movements, and the delayed reaction from security personnel. The internet had shifted into crisis analysis mode, each viewer becoming a commentator. The praise directed at Cynthia Erivo was particularly strong and consistent. Viewers described her as decisive, fearless, and instinctively protective. Many pointed out that she had reacted faster than the trained security team, stepping into harm's way without hesitation. Her presence, both firm and compassionate, earned her widespread acclaim. By the end of the night, her name was trending globally, with countless clips highlighting the moment she intervened. For many, she became the unmistakable hero of the evening, not for her role in the film, but for her instinctive human response when danger was present. But as the internet praised Cynthia Erivo and expressed concern for Ariana Grande, it also began to search for answers regarding the man responsible for the panic. It did not take long before social media users identified him. The man was Johnson Wen, known online by the moniker Pajama Man, an individual who had built an unsettling reputation for crashing celebrity events. He had previously rushed the stage during a Katy Perry performance in June, an act that resulted in his arrest by New South Wales police. In August, he disrupted a performance by The Weeknd before security removed him from the venue. Each incident had contributed to a strange and troubling online legacy that became fully illuminated after the incident with Ariana Grande. The revelation of his identity intensified the public outcry. Instead of expressing remorse, Johnson Wen posted a video of the incident on Instagram, captioned with, "Thank you, Ariana Grande, for letting me jump on the red carpet with you." The caption carried an unsettling tone, one that minimized the severity of his actions and portrayed the intrusion as a moment of mutual participation rather than a violation of personal boundaries. His post ignited further outrage, with fans calling for reports of his account and demanding accountability from law enforcement and event organizers. The divide in public reaction grew deeper as the video continued to circulate. Some argued that the incident should serve as a wake-up call for the entertainment industry, urging studios and event planners to reassess crowd management and enforce stricter protective measures for celebrities. Others voiced frustration at what they perceived as a pattern of negligence, noting that the individual responsible had a documented history of disruptive behavior that seemed to escalate unchecked. For many viewers, the fear visible on Ariana Grande's face was a painful reminder that fame does not shield individuals from danger. Instead, it often invites it. The incident also resurfaced discussions about Ariana Grande's past. Many pointed out that, given her history with the Manchester bombing and her documented struggles with anxiety and post-traumatic stress, the intrusion carried deeper implications than the average security breach. Her interviews describing the emotional toll of the 2017 tragedy resurfaced, highlighting her statements about the difficulty of coping with traumatic memories and her ongoing efforts to manage anxiety. These recollections amplified the criticism towards the event's security team, as commentators argued that a public figure with known vulnerabilities should have been given heightened protection. Meanwhile, media outlets worldwide began to cover the incident with headlines emphasizing both the chaos and the emotional resonance of the moment. Articles detailed Cynthia Erivo's intervention, Michelle Yeoh's support, and the subsequent decision to end the event earlier than planned. Journalists analyzed how the incident reflected broader concerns about public safety, mental health, and the responsibilities of event organizers in protecting high-profile individuals. Television programs replayed the footage repeatedly, framing the moment in narratives ranging from security failure to emotional trauma. The rapid dissemination of information created a wave of scrutiny that extended beyond the individuals involved. Universal Studios Singapore, the production team behind Wicked for Good, and the broader entertainment industry found themselves under pressure to issue explanations and consider reforms. The public wanted assurance that such an incident would not be repeated, especially as the global promotional campaign for the film continued to unfold. As the media storm intensified, the premiere's intended purpose began to fade. What was meant to be a celebration of cinematic artistry and musical legacy became overshadowed by a single violent interruption. The focus shifted from the film's creative triumphs to the breach that revealed cracks in an otherwise polished exterior. The collective narrative moved swiftly, and as the videos continued to circulate, the emotional weight of the incident only deepened. By the end of the media cycle's first 24 hours, the incident had evolved into a case study in celebrity vulnerability, public safety, and the power of digital amplification. The speed at which the story spread, the depth of public reaction, and the identification of the perpetrator created a media avalanche that none of the organizers had anticipated. And the world was left to consider what the incident truly revealed about the fragile boundary between admiration and intrusion. The energy that had filled the Wicked for Good premiere slowly dissolved into an uneasy silence as Ariana Grande stepped back from the chaotic scene. Even after the man had been removed and the crowd's collective gasp had faded into a distant hum, the emotional impact of the intrusion remained suspended in the air as if time itself had refused to move forward. Ariana Grande stood surrounded by the brilliant lights of the red carpet, yet the brightness seemed to amplify her shaken expression rather than mask it. The sudden breach had become more than a disruption. It had become a moment frozen between fear and memory. This was the darkest hour of the night, the precise moment when the emotional weight of the incident settled heavily onto her shoulders. Ariana Grande inhaled deeply, her chest rising with the kind of deliberate breath a person takes when steadying themselves after being unexpectedly overwhelmed. Her eyes wandered for brief seconds, searching for something familiar, something grounding, something that would return her to safety. The trace of panic did not disappear immediately. It lingered, echoing her past and reminding her of a vulnerability that had never fully healed. Cynthia Erivo and Michelle Yeoh approached her gently, their steps controlled, their presence steady. Cynthia Erivo maintained a protective stance, her posture angled towards Ariana Grande, as if her body instinctively understood that her role had shifted from co-star to guardian. Michelle Yeoh, known for her composure and quiet strength, placed a reassuring hand on Ariana Grande's arm. Their gestures were subtle, yet profoundly human, grounding her in a moment when the world felt unstable once again. Around them, the noise gradually transformed from chaos into a contemplative murmur. Staff members whispered amongst themselves, security attempted to reorganize the perimeter, and fans looked on with visible concern. Even the media, usually ravenous in moments of unpredictability, hesitated with an unspoken recognition that something deeper than a headline was unfolding before their eyes. For Ariana Grande, this emotional collision was not simply about the physical invasion of her personal space. It was about the resurfacing of trauma, the sudden reminder of the fragility that accompanies high visibility, and the instinctive fight for control when the world momentarily spins off its axis. In that fragile pocket of time, she stood between two narratives: the polished, celebratory facade of the premiere and the raw, painful memories that the intrusion had awakened. This delicate balance set the stage for the climax of the night, a moment that crystallized the human response to crisis in the most unexpected way. Cynthia Erivo's intervention had become the emotional turning point that shifted the trajectory of the event. Her immediate reaction, captured with stunning clarity across countless videos, demonstrated not only instinct, but an unwavering sense of responsibility. She did not pause to calculate the risk or consider the potential consequences. Her decision was simple, even primal: protect Ariana Grande. The swiftness of her movement, the firmness of her expression, and the certainty in her voice resonated deeply with viewers, who later replayed the moment as though it were a scripted scene from a film. Yet this was not fiction. It was a spontaneous act of courage, performed in real time under the weight of fear and danger. The acclaim that Cynthia Erivo received in the hours that followed was not rooted merely in admiration. It was rooted in relief. Relief that someone had acted. Relief that Ariana Grande had not been harmed. Relief that humanity had prevailed in a moment that appeared perilously close to spiraling into something far worse. Her intervention became a symbol of collective protection, a reminder that individuals can rise with extraordinary strength when another person is in distress. Michelle Yeoh's presence beside Ariana Grande contributed another layer to the emotional tapestry of the moment. Known globally for her mastery of poise and for characters defined by resilience, she embodied calm in a way that offered immediate comfort. Whilst Cynthia Erivo had acted with the urgency of instinct, Michelle Yeoh acted with the grounding force of reassurance. Together, they became a silent support system, anchoring Ariana Grande at a time when her internal landscape had been shaken. As the three women stood together under the glare of fragmented attention, something shifted in the atmosphere. The climax, though born from crisis, revealed the depth of human connection, turning the spotlight away from spectacle and towards empathy. The physical threat had passed, but the emotional recovery was only beginning. The cast, the staff, and even the fans seemed to move as a single organism, protective and cautious, offering a collective breath meant to steady the moment. This transition ushered in the breakthrough of the night, a realization that extended far beyond the individuals present. The incident forced a conversation about the vulnerability of public figures and the illusion of safety that often surrounds them. The ease with which the man breached the barrier revealed a fundamental flaw in the way such events are structured. Celebrities, admired across continents, remain profoundly exposed. The incident highlighted not only the failures of a single security perimeter, but the broader reality that fame does not shield individuals from unpredictable threats. Instead, it often increases their susceptibility. For Ariana Grande, the breakthrough was more personal. The emotional tremor she experienced was a reflection of past wounds, yet it also illuminated her strength. Her capacity to regain composure, supported by those around her, demonstrated an evolving resilience shaped by years of navigating public life under extraordinary pressure. The moment was a painful reminder of the burden she carries, yet it was also a testament to her ability to continue standing, even when her past reaches into her present without warning. For the public, the breakthrough became a catalyst for discourse. Commentators questioned how an individual with a documented history of disruptive behavior could approach a global event so easily. Analysts examined the psychological impact on Ariana Grande, linking her reaction to her long-standing struggles with post-traumatic stress. Fans expressed anger at the breach, sorrow for her distress, and gratitude towards Cynthia Erivo and Michelle Yeoh for their roles in stabilizing the moment. As the cast prepared to leave the venue and staff began to dismantle what remained of the evening's elaborate arrangement, a quiet understanding settled over the space. The night had not ended as planned. It had veered into a narrative that no publicist could have predicted and no security team had fully prevented. Yet within that unpredictability, a revealing truth emerged. The world of entertainment, despite its glamour, remains deeply intertwined with human fragility, unpredictable forces, and the urgent need for empathy. The incident became more than a disruption. It became a call to reassess, to rebuild, and to recognize that even the brightest lights cannot outshine the shadows that sometimes move towards them. In the hours following the premature conclusion of The Wicked, for Good premiere, the atmosphere around Universal Studios Singapore carried an unmistakable heaviness. The bright decorations that had once symbolized celebration now appeared muted, overshadowed by the incident that had overtaken the night. Staff members dismantled staging materials with subdued efficiency, reporters sent their final dispatches, and fans slowly dispersed with expressions torn between excitement and concern. The event had been expected to generate global attention, but the nature of that attention had shifted drastically. The focus was no longer on the artistic achievements of the cast and production team. It was on the breach that revealed the vulnerabilities behind the spectacle. In the aftermath, conversations across media platforms revolved around several central questions. How could a man with a known history of disruptive behavior reach Ariana Grande so easily? Why were standard security protocols insufficient? What safeguards must be implemented as the film's promotional journey continues? These questions echoed across continents, amplified by the speed of digital communication and the emotional resonance of the footage captured that night. The cast refrained from issuing statements, and the studio maintained silence, leaving the world to interpret the event through observation, speculation, and the visible emotional aftermath. For Ariana Grande, the night underscored the difficult truth that past trauma does not remain in the past. The intrusion reawakened memories she had spent years learning to navigate. Her experiences following the Manchester tragedy, as described in her previous interviews, continued to shape the way she moved through public spaces. Her silence after the event was not a void. It was a reflection of the emotional calculations required to process fear on a global stage. Although she regained composure with the support of her colleagues, the internal echoes of the incident would likely remain long after the cameras had been lowered. Yet within the distress emerged a series of powerful lessons. The first was the undeniable importance of swift human intervention. Cynthia Erivo's instinctive response reaffirmed the significance of collective protection, revealing how essential it is for individuals within a group to act decisively when danger appears. Michelle Yeoh's grounding presence reinforced the value of empathy, emotional composure, and the steady reassurance that can stabilize a chaotic moment. Together, their actions suggested that even in environments engineered for publicity, human connection remains the most reliable safeguard. The second lesson lay in the broader reflection on security. The breach served as a stark reminder that safety cannot be assumed, even in the most meticulously planned environments. It emphasized the necessity for adaptive measures that account for unpredictable behavior, especially when public figures with known vulnerabilities are placed in highly visible situations. The incident challenged industry practices and raised questions about how the entertainment world can better balance accessibility with protection. The third, and perhaps most profound lesson, centered on the fragility of fame. The public often views celebrities through the lens of glamour, assuming that visibility and adoration form a protective shield. The incident demonstrated the opposite. Visibility can expose individuals to heightened risks, emotional triggers, and unforeseen threats. Ariana Grande's experience reminded the world that beneath the crafted image of an icon exists a human being whose safety, dignity, and emotional well-being demand the same consideration as anyone else's.